Savings accounts are making a comeback. People talk about the Fed raising rates like it's some awful fate we have to endure. But the flip side of that ambiguous argument is that it helps us to make more money every day. Yes, our debt is more costly, but our savings and interest rates have gone up a lot. Let's talk about where to stash your cash to make the most money, including what are the best savings accounts this year. Plus a bonus, I'll reveal the single biggest problem with saving money right now. So when the Fed raises rates, all that means is it gets more expensive for banks to lend money to each other, to other banks. It's not our interest rates. But when they have to cover that increased cost to themselves, they've got to make borrowing money more expensive for the rest of us. So like if you apply for a mortgage or a car loan or anything else like that, that means your rate is also going up. It basically means the cost of doing business for them is higher, so they're going to pass that cost along to me and you. But the other side of that same coin of the interest rates going up is that our savings accounts and our CDs now pay us more money. And overall, that's a good thing for people who are saving money for a rainy day or a big purchase or anything else that requires you to hold on to some cash. And I don't mean physical cash. I'm talking about cash in the bank, not invested money, not anything that's actually going to work for you. This is just dollars that you have piled up in a savings account. Man, if this was real, that would be nice. A year or two ago, I always recommended saving cash in something like Yotta Savings or Prize Pool. They're these really cool prize-linked savings accounts, and so you get a base interest rate plus you win more prize money by way of their sweepstakes. And for me, typically, the calculations that I did showed that I got between 2 and 4% back on my cash, which, hey, in the last 2 years, that was a lot, and it was a lot better than other savings accounts. In my experience with our own banks, our rates ended up hitting under 1%. Both at Ally and Wells Fargo and anywhere else I could find besides those prize-linked savings accounts. Now, finally, we're all riding the wave back up. So let's just check out which savings accounts are actually good right now. Okay, literally all I've done is type in highest yield savings accounts, best savings accounts 2022, and I've come up with this site from Bankrate.com, which I typically like. I trust Bankrate, NerdWallet, and a couple others, but those are my top sites for comparing up-to-date interest rates. If you want to follow along, you can look at a link in the description that I put for you. And also, let's try this new thing. What if I put a QR code up on the screen right now? Can you scan that with your phone and end up going to a place like Bankrate or NerdWallet? And is that a cool way to do this? Like, is that an easier way for you to find these links? You might have to be watching this video on your TV and then use your phone to scan the QR code. But if that ended up working, that'd be really slick. All right, so the highest savings account rates that I see right now are from a few different banks, and these are not like the name brand, craziest, biggest banks out there. They're banks like CIT Bank, Citizens, Synchrony, and SoFi, and they're all right there around 2%. Now, that doesn't seem like a whole ton, but it's like 4 times higher than it was. I mean, our interest rate for Ally was down to, I think, 0.5%, so 4 times more than that is way more money. Speaking of Ally, let's see where Ally is right now. Let's check their rates. So Ally's up there at 2% also. Let's check NerdWallet and see what they have to say. Okay, similar crowd. SoFi, Discover, Lending Club, CIT, Barclays, Citibank. I'm sorry, not Citibank. Capital One, Amex, Marcus, and there is Citibank down there. So anything between 1.7 and 2.1 seems to be about the average for this moment in time. But it's important for you to know that if you're watching this 3 months or 6 months or a year in the future, those rates could be totally different. So that's why I want you to check out these QR codes and check those sites for yourself. Click on savings accounts and click on rates and see what's the up-to-date rates now. If anything, I'm hoping that they're higher than they are at this very moment, because that would mean that those interest rates are continuing to go up. But it's a double-edged sword. When our debt rates, our borrowing rates go up at the same time that our savings rates go up, kind of depends on what side of that coin you're on. Do you have a lot of cash you're trying to make money on, or are you trying to borrow money right now, in which case the higher rates really suck? The interesting thing, though, is that a lot of these financial institutions still are not rolling with the punches. So not everyone is doing this. I checked Chase Bank Savings, and they're still offering an insulting 0.01%. Our Wells Fargo account that we still have to this day, why are we still banking with them? What am I doing? We still have Wells Fargo. They're still at 0.01% also. I mean, it's just insultingly bad. And then if you notice, whenever I checked Ally right there, they openly compare themselves to B of A, Chase, and Wells Fargo. And they're just, of course, crushing them. And those are 3 of the biggest names. I'm betting that those big banks are just betting on the human psychology of like, man, it's a pain to get a new bank account. I don't feel like doing that. I'm just going to stay here. Instead of, for example, moving to Ally or CIT or Synchrony or someone else who's offering more interest. But you've got to have a lot of cash on hand for that to really move the needle for you. Just for fun, to do that math of Ally versus Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo, you're earning 200 times more interest to be getting 2% interest versus 0.01%. That's wild. Another thing that's changed in our favor is CD rates. So CDs are just certificates of deposit, which is a frumpy old name for a financial device that you send your money away and it goes into this CD. It gets locked away for a set period of time that you've chosen, and then you get paid a higher interest rate compared to a savings account. So as long as you're okay to have that money basically inaccessible for that amount of time, that's great for you. And the amount of time it's locked away can be really short, anything from like a few months all the way up to something like 5 years or more. Another rule of thumb with CDs is that typically the longer you lock away the money in the CD, the higher your interest rate is. So if you're able to lock it away for 2 or 3 years, you'll make a lot more money than someone who's only locking it away for 3 months or 6 months. These rates have also been climbing back up, and it's exciting to see some of them get over 3% even. I don't hear a lot of people talking about CDs. I think they're not a super exciting financial product, but something that is exciting compared to, say, 10 or 15 years ago is that I see a lot more options for no penalty CDs. And these are structured a little bit different because typically a CD means that if you try and take out your money before that term is up that you've chosen, you get hit with a penalty. You get hit with like a fee. And so unless you really need the money, it's typically better to just leave it in there. Don't mess with it. Don't get hit by the fee. But these no penalty CDs give you all the same benefits of a CD that you get in like a normal CD with a higher interest rate than a savings account, all that jazz, but they don't penalize you if you take your money out before that term is up. So it's like all the benefits and none of the risk, and all the best parts and none of the bad parts. I personally used these kinds of CDs with Ally Bank a few years ago. In my experience back then, we could make an extra 0.5 to 1% on our money using this no penalty CD, and then I could take my money back out whenever I wanted. I even took some of the money out early because, hey, there's no penalty. Why not? The other potential downside with a CD, depending on your kind of outlook for the future, is that whenever you sign up for one and you lock in that term and you lock in that rate of interest that you're making, typically the rate doesn't change. So even if interest rates continue to go up and they continue to improve, it's kind of a bummer if you locked yours in for, say, 2 years at 2.5%, then to find out a few months later, oh, it's like the same CD, but now they're giving people 3%. Like, I'm missing out on that money. Well, but thankfully, there's even new financial products for that. There's new options for you. Places like Marcus with Goldman Sachs, they offer things like a rate bump CD, and that allows you to move to a new, better rate if it does go up. So you really can't miss out. That's pretty cool. Now, that's all very interesting and good, but what does it really amount to in terms of dollars? Like, what does that mean if we go from Chase Bank and transfer over to Ally or something like that? Let's do some examples. If you have an awful Wells Fargo account, like I do, and let's say you've got $9,000 in it, you're getting paid 0.01% interest per year, which is depressing. That means you're only getting 90 cents per year. Yes, that math is right. It's less than $1. Now, if you have that same amount stashed somewhere earning, let's say 2.5% per year, you're at least making $227 per year. That's real money. That's going out to dinner money. That's something worth doing. Now, if you have more or less than $9,000 in your account, then I suggest going on an online bank savings calculator and doing that math for yourself. Again, let's try out this little QR code situation here. I'll put it in the description too, but if you can scan this QR code, then it'll take you right to that kind of savings calculator, and you can put in your own numbers, your own interest rates, and kind of do your own comparison. And let me know in the comments if that works for you, or if like 85% of us are all watching this on our phone, then it really doesn't help you to have a QR code on the thing that you need to scan the QR code. We'll try it out. All that's fine and good, but now it's time to talk about the big problem with saving. Based on the research that I've done both online and in person, talking with friends and other people kind of my age, we millennials especially are saving a lot more money than we are investing. And there's a big cost to this. It's a two-part cost, especially right now. The first cost is inflation. When we're making such a small amount of interest on our hard-earned money, it's not even keeping up with inflation, with the price of everyday things. And that includes even if you move to some of these higher interest kind of products like a CD or a high interest savings account, 2 or 3% today is still walking backwards. Because inflation is at these record high levels, that means that the functional value of that money that you have saved, it's actually shrinking over time. Even though the dollar amount is slowly going up, the amount of stuff you can buy with it is decreasing. Yikes. The second and bigger cost we have when we're saving money is opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost here is that you could be making anywhere from 3 to 10 times more money if you invest that money instead of just saving it. And that's even compared to these really improved savings rates that are happening nowadays. So let's take that same $9,000 from the savings account example from before, the one that you're making 2.5% interest on, and let's say you leave it there for 20 years. So $9,000 in cash, stashed away 2.5% per year for 20 years. By the end of that time period, you'd have almost $15,000. So it's not bad, but if you'd invested that money instead and earned 9% per year, you'd have just over $54,000. That's 3.5 times more money for investing it instead of saving it. And I get that investing is difficult to understand and it's very cryptic, and there is crypto sometimes involved, and there's sketchy people out there making big claims. And so it's a very difficult kind of thing to navigate, where a savings account feels very secure, guaranteed, it's with a bank. Like, I understand the comfort level there, but because investing is so complicated and there's so many things to learn, I'm actually making a free investing course, which drops early 2023. So the goal is January, but in the meantime, you can watch this video to learn what investment companies I recommend using versus the ones that are not so good and are worth avoiding. And in case you're interested, the secret comment today is donuts, because donuts are amazing, especially Sidecar Donuts in Southern California. Oh my gosh. If you go there, you got to try them.